What up? What up? What's going on? What's going on? How you doing? This is Johnny Prince, and you right now are live tuned in to the Be Clear Alert podcast. Once again, I am Johnny Prince, and I am excited to have you here with me. Listen, last week we had on Luna Ice. It was an amazing interview, super dope queen. Lots of amazing responses. Y'all, listen, I appreciate the love and support. I've been getting hit up, lots of texts and emails saying that the show is dope. It's going far and they supporting, and thank y'all so much, so much. I already got a couple lined up for the month of January. Listen, stay connected. That's all I gotta say. Stay connected. Be Clear podcast is super dope, and we here and we the mission, right? Understand what it is you know, Be Clear Alert podcast is the getting to know who the person is behind the music, who the person is behind, the business. So the entrepreneur and the indie music artist is the focal point of this. We want to know who you are, who the person is. So this is definitely a safe space for that, to get to know who the artist is, who the entrepreneur is. Um, Today, though, super dope queen. Oh my goodness. This sister here is amazing. She is dope. Ever since we met, it's been nothing but love and support. And I am honored to be a part of her brand and what she got going on. And she has a whole bunch of other stuff going on. We're going to get into that. But she goes by the name of Trinette L. Collier Greene. And again, super dope woman. Very like she is huge, doing her thing. She got the mailroom messages from him with the Sean and Friends that airs every Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That airs on 101 TKO Radio. She's dope. All right, the brand is dope. She's doing major things. Oh, and hold on, she is your favorite certified relationship coach. Let's be very clear on that. This is why this is created, all right? Let's be very clear on that, okay? Your favorite certified relationship coach. How many of y'all can say that you're certified? Shots. Okay, cool. So listen, let me see in the green room right now going crazy because there's a lot of people that's quote unquote certified, and they out here giving all these advices and stuff, and I don't see no papers. Show the papers. Show me papers, all right? And then you might could come on a Be Clear Alert podcast. All right. Anywho's, let me let me let me stop playing because I'm feeling myself. This is what it is. All right. You got to be able to feel yourself. So, all right. Let me read her bio right quick because I want to bring her on because we're gonna have a great conversation. We're gonna have fun and stuff like that. But listen, Trinette Collier Greene, an HBCU grad and certified relationship coach, okay? Leads TLC Coaching, the Woman on Fire podcast, and the Mailroom. Messages from him, trademark by the way. Radio show, advocating for thriving relationships. She empowers the meaningful connections, strategies. A Californian girl turned Georgia enthusiast. Trinette embodies a vibrant modern spirit, celebrating life and relationships through dance, music, arts, and culinary exploitations. Let's be very clear on that. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please help me introduce Trinette Collier Greene. She is on live now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
There we go. There we go. There we
I
go.
can
Hi.
hear you.
Oh man, it is so good to have you on. How are you doing, Queen?
I am good. I am
This is
good.
what's up. Thank you for bringing on the Clear, Be Clear Alert podcast. Thank you so much. Let me tell y'all something right quick before we get into this. Let me tell y'all how we met. Right? It's let me tell y'all. So I was in a previous business venture. You know what I mean? And
Previous.
it was a radio station, and she was gonna come and meet with us so she can start her show with us.
Mm-hmm.
So she was, so she called and said she was running late. It was traffic. You already know 285 is crazy. She was coming from where she was coming from. It was traffic, and I was like, nah, nah. I mean, I've been nah. I just tell me another time. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on now. I'm here. So why she can't be here, right? So they was like, look, but she's already around. You know what I'm saying? This we just chill. We ain't doing nothing anyways. That's all right, whatever. So she comes in, y'all. Now she comes in on crutches, right? I don't. Did you break your foot or something, or you sprain your ankle or
Uh,
something?
that's when the student had I had a torn something in my leg. So basically, it was a bad, not
Oh,
quite a fracture, but it was real bad.
y'all, she came in on crutches, right? So I was like, oh snap. Okay, all right, all right. Well, how you doing there? First of all, I'm sorry about your crutches thing. But she came in, and, and it turned out to be an amazing meeting. She
Yeah,
started the show, and like she went full ahead. She got the vision. It came to her, and she developed a plan, and she hit it, and she hit it, and she ain't stopped since. We 5 years strong in this thing now, y'all. 5 years, next year be six, and she hasn't stopped, hasn't let up. She may have some times where she wanted to maybe stop for a little bit, but she kept on, kept on. And
yeah,
and I am so proud of you. You know what I mean? And I am so glad that you didn't stop and you keep going. And I know, as an entrepreneur, I know it's hard. I know how it
yeah,
can be sometimes. I know how discouraging it can be. And you didn't let that waver you. You know what I mean? You kept your faith and you kept on going. You know,
Whew.
and that's one thing I appreciate. About you, that you kept on going.
Yeah.
But before we get deeper though, you know what I mean? Who let's get into who is Trinette L. Collier Greene. Tell the people, who are you?
Listen, listen, y'all. Thank you so much, Johnny.
No doubt.
It was that New Yorker in you that had me scared for a minute. I was like, oh, dude, like he's straight tripping, dog. I'm like trying to balance on the crutches.
I was tripping. I was tripping. I was bugging.
You were. I was like, okay, I'm trying to hold on to the crutches and not cry because I was already frustrated, and I'm like, I'm gonna make it do what it do. They gonna
That's
have to
right.
see. But but that's part of the trial. That's part of
Yeah.
the trial. But so I thank you for having me on tonight. I really do. I'm very grateful for whatever and whenever I'm on a platform
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. So who am I? Good question.
Yeah.
I am I'm a woman of God, first of all, and I'm a wife, I'm a, former educator. Um
How long you been educating?
huh?
How long? How long you been educating?
Oh, 28 years, 28,
28
yeah.
years.
28 years fresh out of
Wow.
college educating.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so I mean I'm like this I won't say a renaissance woman.
Mm-hmm.
I am just that girl who loves life,
Mm-hmm.
who loves people, who loves God, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to see people win, like
Mm-hmm.
the good people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
want to see good people win. So that's who I am. I don't.
Okay.
I'm trying to take off some hats. So I'm
Okay.
just that girl. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I
Yeah,
understand. You do wear a lot of hats, girl. You do wear a
I
lot of
do.
hats. You be doing a whole lot, and I know
Yeah.
that you looking to delegate next year. Which is a
Oh
good
yeah.
thing.
Most definitely.
We don't want to get burnt out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I
Right.
definitely get it. Wow. So, 28-year educator. Um,
Yeah.
what made you? What influenced you to become a teacher? Was that something you always wanted to do since you was young?
Yes and no. So when I was young, I thought I was gonna be a dancer because I took dance. I love dance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, dance is life, dance and music.
Mm-hmm.
So I just knew I was gonna be a dancer, but my dad is old school. You ain't gonna make no money off of dancing, you know. So he wanted me to go into avionics like him. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, bruh, that ain't math and science. So what you talking
Yeah.
about? But then I always was that kid on the block that
Mm-hmm.
when summer came, I was teaching the neighborhood kids. Like we were
Mm-hmm.
still pretending to be in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like my first grade year, my first first year, my first grade teacher, Miss Flags.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I fell in love with teaching. She made teaching look so good,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew then I was like, oh, this is what I want to be. She had the coffee cup, she
Uh-huh.
had the piece of chalk in her hand, and I was just mesmerized by her. Like every day
Mm-hmm.
she comes in looking professional.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew then I'm like, that's what I want to be. I want to be a teacher. So I was
Wow.
inspired by my first grade teacher. Like, and I was the teacher's helper.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got a chance to snitch on some kids,
Mm-hmm.
so hey, that was fun too, but
Wow.
no,
Yeah.
but that was my inspiration. That I knew then that I had to be a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you came from a huge family. You came from amazing parents, mother and father,
Yeah.
and you have four other siblings.
Yeah.
Two brothers and two sisters.
3 brothers and 1 sister.
Oh, so it's five of y'all all together.
Yeah.
And you're the
Yeah.
oldest.
I'm the oldest. I'm the
Okay.
oldest.
Wow. I'm the oldest
Woo!
of five too. Trust me. So
Woo!
okay? So you're originally from California. How did you
Yeah.
end up in Georgia?
So my dad was in the military, but
Mm-hmm.
then when he got out of the military, he still moved around. He just
Okay.
wasn't. He was never settled. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And so I knew that I was going to go to college to be a teacher. But my first choice was Tennessee State. That's where my aunt went,
Uh huh.
and so I wanted to follow in her footsteps. And I was like, okay, I'm moving to Tennessee. I had three choices. It was Tennessee State,
Mm-hmm.
Grambling University, and Clark Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was like, "No, you're not going to Tennessee," and he was like, "No, you're not going to Louisiana."
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
no, and then the third choice was FAMU, and
Okay.
he was like, "No, you ain't going to Florida." And I'm
Wow.
like, "But these are good schools," but he
Mm-hmm.
never told me why I wasn't going there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
What did you
like that
think?
I was just like, why he don't want me to go there? Like, I get it that I'm gonna be away from college, but why is he tripping? Like, at least in Tennessee, I'll be with some family,
Mm-hmm.
4 hours away.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know, but he was adamant, no, no,
Mm.
no, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, I got accepted into Clark Atlanta in Atlanta. He was like, okay, good, you going there?
Okay.
And I was
Wow.
like, but that was my fourth choice. I really didn't want to go,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And because I had my heart set really on TSU,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but did not know that that was him and my mom's plan as well to come to Atlanta to start the business.
Mm.
And so it
Mm.
really worked out in the favor at that time. I didn't
Yeah.
know it, and and it wasn't that he was trying to keep me,
Yeah.
with them, but it was like, okay, this is kind of like that exit
Mm-hmm.
from Cali. And then back then, Atlanta was the black mecca. When
Mm-hmm.
you heard Atlanta,
Yeah.
everybody from California migrated to Atlanta. So it was just like, okay, we going to Atlanta. But I didn't know that they had planned on moving here with me. Like, I'm like, I'm trying to go to college. I'm trying to
Wow.
get away from
Yeah. So
y'all.
maybe that's what it was. They had a plan of their own, but
Yeah,
I guess they didn't want to. I don't know, discourage or waver, or because they know that you had your one school that you wanted to go to. You know what I mean?
right,
So instead of
right.
saying, nah, we I want you to go to Atlanta because that's where I want to move the family.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, nah, nah,
I didn't know that they were planning on moving. I
moving.
was like,
Right,
"Oh, y'all
right.
gonna oh, okay." So,
So hold
I
on.
don't
So
get
you got
that.
accepted to Clark, but how did you end up in Morris Brown?
So I got to Clark, got accepted, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
We drove here, mind you, 5 children,
Five children
a turtle and a fish, the wife and the husband
from Cali.
from Cali drove, right?
Wow.
So we
Wow.
drove here,
Hold on. What
and
was the car? What was the car?
you know what? I think we had that station wagon, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was the station. I know it wasn't an
Okay.
SUV. It was a station, either that station wagon he had. It was an older station
Okay.
wagon. 'Cause I remember putting the turtle and the fish in the cooler in the back. So I think it was that station wagon.
Okay. Okay.
And so we got here and we headed. I remember us going to the hotel first once we got here, and then I want to say the next business day We went to Clark to get me checked in,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't have my dorm ready. They didn't have
What?
anything ready, right? So of course, my dad is like, "Okay, where's the money? Where's the deposit? What's going on?" So it was just like a whole bunch of, freshmen sitting outside Clark Atlanta University. We sitting outside,
Wow.
and nobody could tell us anything. So we didn't have nothing. So I'm just
Wow.
like, OMG. So after
Wow.
that, for a couple of days, they going back and forth with admin. Of course, nobody gets into the dorm.
Mm-hmm.
A local was like, "It's school across the street." School across the street.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
called, they were like, "It's called Morris Brown." And I had never heard of Morris Brown,
Wow.
didn't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was determined to get in school. My dad was like, "Okay, let's go check this out while we still fuss with them." So I really didn't start until like the following semester.
Mm-hmm.
So like the plans just got, so I didn't come right out of high school and went straight to college. I had to take that year off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that semester or so, and then enroll at Morris Brown like the following year. So,
Mm.
so it was like a delay. So I just worked,
Yeah.
got to know the city
Okay.
and then enroll. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Were
Yeah.
you when you got to Atlanta, right?
Um,
Were you nervous or were you like excited more than nervous? Or were you nervous at all?
I was nervous. I was
Mm-hmm.
afraid, like, moving away from my family. But
Yeah.
then at the same time, I was like, okay, my family still moved with me. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, we're together. But because we had moved so much,
Mm-hmm.
as children, with my dad being in the
Mm-hmm.
military,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't nothing like, just moving to another city. But this
Mm.
time it was like I was excited because it's like Atlanta,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, ooh, all the black folks in
Yeah.
Atlanta, right? So,
Yeah.
but this was like our first time being in the actual South. Like we would always
Mm-hmm.
go to the Midwestern states, but
Mm-hmm.
this was like the first time being in the South.
Mm-hmm.
So still had like that perception of the KKK and
Mm.
the whole Southern thing. So we were a little skeptical about that, but it was like Atlanta. Hey, let's do this.
Wow.
I'm excited. Yeah,
Well, so experience in college is one thing. Experience in Atlanta is two totally
yeah.
different worlds, right? So, talk about your experience in Morris Brown.
Ooh, ooh. That's where I became grown. I
You
learned a
became
whole
grown.
lot.
Oh
I
yeah.
got to I learned a whole lot, because one, you're around different people
Mm-hmm.
from different states and
Mm-hmm.
even countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being at being in a place where there's like literally all black people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in California and other places I was around, but it was always multicultural, right?
Mm-hmm.
My high school had just graduated with, it was only like less than 20 black students in the high school,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like predominantly white. And so now I'm on this campus where I see all black and brown faces,
Mm.
and it's like, ooh, and then it's like you see different ages because you're thinking everybody's fresh out of college, I mean high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're like meeting 25-year-olds at that time and
Mm-hmm.
21-year-olds. And here I am, 17, 18-year-old, fresh out of high school. Like, so the college experience was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I for one, it's scary. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're fresh out of high school and you're going to this campus and you you're looking like, ooh, you got freedom to do that, to go to
Mm-hmm.
parties, to mix and mingle with whomever, this, that, and
Mm-hmm.
other. So it's really an experience. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
And it's in the heart of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
it's right. Morris Brown is in the city,
into
like
city.
in the hood. So
Yes.
you learn. That's where I got most of my hoodology. The hoodology.
Hoodology. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
like learning of
Yeah.
the scams. That's where your girl got. I got scam. Back then you learn the scams and you learn the tricks.
Oh
But
my goodness.
yeah,
Atlanta.
so it was
Wow.
like you learn, and at that time before the Olympics, because we got here before the
Mm-hmm.
Olympics, so
Mm-hmm.
you still had the original hoods.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
downtown was the hood. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you getting caught up in all of this. Yeah, it was totally different. Totally
Crazy,
different
huh? Oh my
from
goodness.
Atlanta now.
All right. So, fast forward, you completed school, you got your degrees, and you
Yeah.
started teaching. Right? Was
Yeah.
that right out of college?
Yep. Right out of college. I take that back. The first year out of college, I was waiting on they place you, right? So you go
Mm-hmm.
on these all these interviews, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get hired the first year out of college, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting to freak out. Like I'm like, okay, all of my colleagues, all of my peers got hired into the school system. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with my application? Because we all went through the same process.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until years later I learned why. But I ended up working at a homeless shelter.
Mm-hmm.
That first year, I was the youth intake
Okay.
coordinator.
Okay.
And so I was able to get that experience, and it was super dope and whatnot. So I was still able to use my degree, but now it
Mm.
was on another level because I was
Mm-hmm.
still teaching the homeless children,
Oh,
right?
okay. Okay.
And so that that's when I've always had a love for the not a love in that sense, but I always wanted to help. And so
Mm-hmm.
that that was the start of my, I won't say career, but my path in helping the homeless.
Okay.
So the first year out of college, I ended up teaching homeless students.
Okay.
And then the second year I had to resign because I did get hired with Atlanta Public Schools.
Okay.
And come to find out, my application got lost because there was a change of admin or whatnot. So it
Mm.
was like divine order,
Yeah.
when I look back over it, like years
Wow.
later. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow. So that's
yeah,
why the wait, because they lost your application. Otherwise, you would have been
yeah.
working probably since right out of college.
Right out of college, yeah. So
Wow.
I my application, because everything was in order. I had all the everything was in order, but it got lost. But like I said, looking back, it was nothing but divine order because it gave me that other experience that
Mm-hmm.
I needed to do what I do now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay. So you're working. So you're teaching and you're doing your thing.
yeah.
When did your father pass?
My father passed in '94. So he passed before I graduated.
Wow.
So yeah, before I
Wow.
graduated from college. And it was actually, I was supposed to graduate within that '94 '95 school year.
Mm-hmm.
But when he passed in '94, I just kind of like set out a year. And so I didn't
Mm.
finish until the '96 '97 school year. But yeah, he
Mm.
passed of colon cancer in 1994.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. My
yeah.
condolences, man. I know he
Yeah.
meant everything to you. You know what I
He
mean?
did. He did.
I know he was a
Um,
major influence in your life too, especially being a dad and being an entrepreneur himself.
yeah, yeah. And and I know sometimes, and I do talk about him a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
I the way I talk about him, I have to keep that in the forefront. I keep him in the forefront of my mind
No
as
doubt.
my inspiration
No doubt.
because my dad had this vision.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this dream when he didn't come to Atlanta to play, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
He came with a mission.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it, he was like, wherever I land,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be buried wherever I land, and I want my business to start for my children. And
Mm-hmm.
so Atlanta was that vision he had.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's always been that inspiration for me. So whenever I feel like I'm giving up, I go back to,
Mm-hmm.
okay, my parents didn't have social media. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They didn't have
Mm-hmm.
social media to do all this stuff. They had to go out and get these contracts. They
Mm-hmm.
had to put on a blazer and some pants. They had to get out here and do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that says that
Yeah.
that's what I rely on as inspiration. You know
And
what I'm
that, and
saying?
not and not the and not even just being black. Just that barrier they had.
Yes.
And to still persevere. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I can
Because
I can.
even
Mhm.
no, go ahead.
No, I understand him being at the forefront of him being your major inspiration. Because of the
Yeah.
barriers that he has to overcome. To
Yeah.
to be a successful business owner in Atlanta.
Right. in Atlanta, because even though Atlanta is black, but you still got to deal with the businesses,
Absolutely.
which were the white boys,
Mm-hmm.
especially with him being in the industry. He was in avionics,
Mm-hmm.
and truth be told, avionics is sold up by the Caucasian,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
men.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to connect with the right people to get out, to get approved to get onto that airport. So
Mm-hmm.
I just saw him hitting that pavement,
Mm-hmm.
just like day in, day night, the
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, that that is my inspiration. Like if
Definitely.
I keep his business license in front of me. I keep, the
Wow.
paperwork in front of me
Yeah.
to look back at that date and to say, you know what, Trinette, it's not gonna happen overnight, but it's gonna happen.
No
You know what I'm
doubt.
saying?
No doubt.
Yeah,
No doubt. And
yeah,
I see it. I see you persevering. I see you pushing through. I
yeah,
see you keep moving forward. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
even to the point where you have to even you're not afraid to reinvent. You're not afraid to add, some
yeah,
things in. And that's one of the things I admire about you is that you keep pushing. You know what I mean? Even
yeah.
through all of
Thank
the you can't do it or you ain't gonna make it happen or all of the quote unquote haters and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You keep going because your faith is rooted. Talk about your faith, girl.
Woo!
Tell them.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Let
Yeah,
me tell you.
tell them.
Listen, I don't have time to play on this thing.
Yeah,
I did all of that back in college and
yeah.
in early days. I played with different faiths and
Mhm,
I grew up believing in God. I grew up in the church and
mhm,
strong foundation from my grandparents and my great aunts and
mhm,
all of that. But I had time to play and see what I, would
mhm,
gravitate. Was it
mhm,
Islam or Buddha or whatnot?
mhm,
And it wasn't fulfilling for me.
mhm, mhm.
And this is why I tell people, you have to grow with the faith that is, you have to be one with whatever you believe in and
That's
stand
right.
on that.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
when I came to the reality for me and I knew it was God and my faith, I'm like, yo, this is it, can't nobody turn me around. And my great aunt is very instrumental
Mhm,
in that faith walk for me because she always told me when you stand, when you know what you know,
mhm, mhm.
can't nobody tell
No
you
doubt.
nothing, and you ain't got time to be arguing with nobody, debating about who you
Mhm.
serve and all of that. So I have to stay faithful. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And it's easy to get turned around. It's
Yeah.
easy to be, you know what? Oh, bump this. But when you stand on God's principles and within your heart of hearts, I mean, you don't have another. I don't have a choice. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
but to stay rooted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, me and you
So
we had some bouts, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
you ain't budging. You like,
I
hey.
ain't budging. I I don't care if y'all say, well, your Jesus is white. I'd be like, oh, I didn't know Jesus was white because I ain't never known Jesus to be white. In our household, he was brown. I don't know what y'all,
No
like,
doubt.
and I get it, and
Yeah.
I think that's one thing about me because I did live among different
Mhm.
religions.
Mhm.
I lived over in the Middle East where, they serve different gods or
Yeah.
what, Islamic. So for me, I never was that person to be like, you know what, you're going straight to hell because there's always embrace or,
Yeah.
it I just encourage people to just find that faith,
Yeah.
find what it's going to be.
Mhm.
Would I love for you to serve Jesus and God?
Mhm.
Yes, but I was never that person to be like berate you or be like, you know what, we
Mhm.
can't be friends because
Yeah.
you atheist or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
believe in Buddha or whatnot. Because I love learning.
Mhm.
I took world religion. I love
No
learning
doubt.
about,
No
what I'm
doubt.
saying? So
No doubt. Okay, so
yeah,
fast forward now. So now
yeah,
you teaching and everything. You're doing your
yeah.
thing. So now you develop a plan. Now you want to start a family. All right. So now you
Mm-hmm.
go out, you start dating and everything, and you found
Yeah.
the quote unquote at the
Mm,
time love of your
mhm.
life. Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
So and I'm
Yeah.
going, I'm going somewhere with this now. Um,
Mhm.
so you get married, all right,
Right.
and
Right.
that didn't work out.
No.
Apparently, was the craziest experience you've had,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about how the process of at some point you said, you know what, I want to start a family now. Now,
Yeah.
for that you have to look for a husband, and
Yeah.
you start to procreate or whatever.
Yeah.
So that time you're dating and stuff. So you're putting yourself out there. You're dating. Talk about how was dating at that time for you?
At that time, it's like that cave woman thing where you go the woman with the what you call it, the big hammer, and you
Oh
go
yeah.
hit
Mm-hmm.
somebody over the head and be like, you mine. That's what I did, right? That's what
Oh.
I did. And this is why I tell people what, really, so I try to suggest to people, you the signs are there. Red flags are there.
Mm-hmm.
We go outside of our own will and to make things. I knew I wasn't supposed to get married. I knew I wasn't supposed to date all of these,
Mm.
different types of bozos or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but because I had a plan
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to fulfill,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that I was on this time crunch, I'm about to
Mm.
I got 5, 6 years before I turned 30.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already late from school, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying, because of my dad's death. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
already a year behind after my scheduled time,
Mm-hmm.
my time. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta speed things up.
Mm.
I gotta get it going. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And so I go out there and I get somebody. I literally got somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to make that work. But the red flags were there from the first time
Early.
I saw. Yeah,
Early.
from the first
Mm-hmm.
time I saw. It was there. You know what I'm saying? There
Wow.
was no ands, if, buts about it. But because I was determined to,
Mm-hmm.
fulfill that timeline, it didn't matter. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can overlook all that stuff. I, I got to start this family. I got to get to it. Let's go.
Wow. So I'm assuming. Okay. So that didn't work, right? That
No,
how long did that last?
so we were married 6 years. Yeah,
6 years. Wow.
yeah. So,
Wow.
and
Okay.
well, 7 if you include that first. It was a shotgun type of
Mm-hmm.
deal. I
Mm-hmm.
met him in September. What? Let him move in around January, February.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, we were married April, May,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere like that.
Not even a
Like
year.
not even a year. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Like
Okay.
it was, yeah,
So 7 years or
painful.
so, that
Yeah,
happened. You divorced, right?
right. Yeah,
And after you divorced now, what was that period? Okay, so you've like everything is final. The divorce is final now. So
yeah,
now, it's set in that you're divorced, and now
yeah,
you're alone, and now you have
yeah,
to continue on with life, right? That
yeah,
initial, right after everything was final,
yeah.
how was that? What was the feeling? What was going on with you
Ooh.
at that moment?
Man, let me tell you, that first year
Mm-hmm.
after being divorced or just like going through that, it was hell.
Mm.
Because at that time that I was trying to start a business
Mm.
and I had just resigned from teaching, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
is like that was the very first time to pursue the business. Again, I had everything mapped out,
Oh, okay.
down to the finances, all of that. So it wasn't like I just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I had everything planned.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got divorced, everything crumbled. I lost
Mm.
everything. The house, the car, no money,
Mm.
all of my money that I had been saving. Because in college, I worked. Like I
Mm-hmm.
worked 6 or 7 jobs. My niece will tell you because she said, you sounded like grandmama now. You talk about how many jobs you worked. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I worked 7 jobs in college.
Yeah.
But I worked to save money because I knew in my head what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do in the future. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew I wanted to retire early. I knew these things,
Mm-hmm.
but I just didn't plan in life. The
Mm.
all of the deaths, the divorce. I didn't plan all of that stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
So that first year, dude, oh my gosh, it was woo. I never thought that I would see the day where I was broke
Mm.
or
Wow.
lost everything. You know what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
I'm like I got 2 degrees and I can't, like, this is not happening to me. So that first year after divorce, it was, I can't even lie, it was hell. It was
Mm.
hell. Yeah.
Wow. So you had to come back.
Yeah.
You had to kind of like really work hard to come out of
Yeah.
that debt with that, with
Yeah.
that debt that you were in. Wow.
Yeah.
So okay. So after the failed divorce, which was a
Yeah.
huge lesson, right? Because um, a book was birthed out of that. Women on
Yep.
Fire, right?
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
talk about that. When did you start writing that book?
So the book is actually my journals, right? So I've always kept journals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept at that time a marriage journal, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
just writing about good and bad, all of it. So
Mm-hmm.
I just journaled. And so the book, um, I released it in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and it was actually the last set, the last journal set of that marriage, right?
Okay.
And so that's not even, this book is not even the entire journal. This is
Mm-hmm.
just like parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't write the book to promote. I didn't write the book to be like, oh, I wrote a book or whatnot. God literally had me to release this book.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not going to write this book. I'm not going to release it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to share that part of my life, with the world. And so when I struggled to hit that enter to the publisher, I struggled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And God was just like, do it. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. And he was like, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, people really thought I was like wanted to release. I did not want to release that book. So that's
Wow.
why I didn't do a promotion tour, or I didn't, it sat on the shelf. After I released it, I did a book release,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it.
Wow.
I wasn't, yeah.
No promotion, really.
No promotion or nothing. I wasn't, the publisher was trying to promote it, and
Mm-hmm.
she would even be like, "You're not promoting your book." I'm like, "Because I didn't write it to share it." You
Mm.
know. And so people didn't understand that for a while. They
Wow.
really thought, like, "Why did you write it?" I'm like, "Because I was being obedient to God."
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I was not trying to at all. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I finished writing that book, I burned the rest of the journal. Um,
Wow. Really?
yeah, I burned the rest of the journals, and that was it, because what I wanted y'all to hear or see, what God told me to release,
Yeah.
that's the only thing. But everything else, I burned the journal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So you wrote the book. The book is out. So at some point now, not to say that you didn't take the book seriously, but at some
Yeah.
point you took it off the shelf and says, you know what? I'm going to start letting people know, about my experience. About you already were open in the book.
Yeah.
And speaking of, what could the reader expect from reading this book?
Ooh, the reader can expect to hear the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The truth.
And what's
And
that? What's
again,
the truth?
the truth is, yes, he did what he did,
Mm-hmm.
but I also had to take accountability for what I did and didn't do.
Accountability. Woo.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's
Woo.
a cuss word. That's a cuss word.
For women? we, we ain't gonna go there. This ain't the time to go there, right?
Listen, I had
But
to take accountability. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I could have written in the journal, my actual journal,
Mm-hmm.
I got all of that out. I cussed him out in the journal. I, spoke what I need to
Mm-hmm.
speak of him in the journal.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, I had to say, wait a minute, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you're that's that part, but what did you do and what didn't you do?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So in this book, it talks about me and my journey through all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So and part of that was because I wasn't trying to give him more power than
Yeah.
he already had. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, this, I'm not about to write about you.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I want the readers to understand it when they buy the book. Even it's 10 years old, but it's still relevant. You
No
know what I'm
doubt.
saying? It's still
Definitely.
relevant
Right.
and
At,
so forth.
at what point did you say, you know what, you developed a strong interest in relationships, right?
Mm,
So at what point did you say, you know what, I think I want to be I want to contribute and become a
Mhm.
coach. You know what I'm saying? I want to
Yeah.
dig deeper into this and really become an advocate for healthy, thriving relationships. What
Yeah.
what influenced you to become that?
You know what? That's a good question. Really, my love for people. As an educator, because I was still teaching, even though I had sat out for those 3 years during after the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
When I re-entered the classroom, I knew prior to that, people would come to my room
Mm-hmm.
after school or before school and ask me relationship questions, right?
Mm.
And I never had this thought like, oh, I know it all or whatnot, but they were all tell me the same thing, like you're listening, you try
Mm-hmm.
to give the most reasonable advice because again, I was newly married, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything. And then when I was going through the divorce, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't give nobody no,
Oh wow.
relationship advice or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So I began to, you know, I was like, okay, well, relationships, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I re-entered the school system, again, other teachers would come and they would talk to me about the relationships.
Mm.
And I would give them the best possible support and advice, and they would be happy about it. And then I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
and so that's when that light bulb went on. I was like, you know what?
Okay.
And that's when coaching was new. It wasn't new. It was just becoming more relevant. Like
Yeah.
people were starting to get into it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because I really, psychology was my minor in
Oh, okay.
college.
Okay. Okay.
I've always been intrigued with the mind and
Makes
just,
sense. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
human connection and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I just
Mm-hmm.
always, being a teacher, just wanted to help people. But this time, I'm like, I want to help adults.
Mm-hmm.
And so the relationship, but the truth is, like, I shied away from the relationship thing because I had that failed relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And I even had somebody to tell me, oh, you can't tell me anything about marriage because you got a divorce. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, wow. And I was like,
Wow.
okay. And
Yeah.
and then so of course I retrieved from it and I was like, okay, I won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was like, I was like, no, you can tell folks about signs and
Yeah.
you can
Absolutely.
talk to people, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, so that's what made me, that's what inspired me to say, you know what, let me go ahead and do this thing.
Okay. But let's
Yeah,
talk about before you got there, right?
yeah,
You were down, and when I say down, I mean like you really had to get into yourself and be within yourself for 8 years, right?
yes,
eight
yep,
years you were
8 years,
solo
good.
dolo,
Yep,
and talk about the eight. You just went on live yesterday and you were talking about
yeah,
celibacy for eight
yeah,
years,
yeah,
and how important that was for you to do that.
yeah.
How important was that? How important is that? And did you really feel you need to stay down that long? When I say down, and I mean like
Yeah,
into yourself for
yeah,
that long.
yeah. You know what, Johnny? I
Mm-hmm.
I want people to understand that, like I shared last night, it may not take them 8, 10 years or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It really determines on what how bad you want your healing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And for me, I knew I wanted to be healed after my divorce, but
Mm-hmm.
then I thought I could do it my way. And, again, I was trying to do my plan because I had it mapped out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I'm gonna go to therapy and I'm gonna do it this way or whatever. And then not realizing that all of the trauma I had went through with men and dating and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
that was deep because I never got rid of it prior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that healing looked like, listen, everybody is going to be cleared out of my path.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. And so I had to make that determination of, I really had to just sit down and say, what is it that you really want, Trinette? Like, do you want to keep going through this cycle? You get involved with somebody, it don't work out, then boom, you back to square one. I didn't want that cycle again.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I had to make a conscious effort, literally sit down and be like, yo, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to
Mm.
go full speed, and I'm
Yeah.
like, there's no wavering. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because I knew I didn't want to go backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
So
like
at the
I
end
was,
of the 8 years, so at the end of the, I'm
yeah.
sorry, I'll cut you off. Okay, what you
No,
say?
no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So 8 years, right? So
Yeah.
you at some point you you said, you know what? Let me start to find my family for real this time,
Yeah.
all right? Because
Yeah.
you really you learned that 8 years. You learned so much about yourself. You had your book out.
Yeah.
You're more open and you're giving. Oh, within the 8 years, did you get certified? Within those 8 years?
No.
Okay, okay, okay. We'll get
No.
to that. We'll
It
get
was,
to that.
yeah.
We'll get to that. So, you open yourself up for dating. You had a couple of dates, right? And you
Mhm.
started talking to a
Mhm.
couple of dudes. It didn't
Yeah.
work out. Fine. You
Right.
come to this big, tall, handsome honey is what you say. Handsome honey, right?
Right.
Y'all get the clicking, right? And
Yeah.
now, y'all are what, 7 years married now?
2020. Next year be 7 years. Yeah.
7 years strong, right? seven
Yeah.
years strong. Talk
Yeah.
about, him and y'all union and how did y'all become one?
Yeah. So after that 8 years, again, I had this time, I didn't go looking for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So this time I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting in my way. If I'm going to trust God, I'm going to trust him in
Yeah.
finding my mate. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
Mm-hmm.
this is where that faith was activated. I had to walk in that faith.
Mm.
I'm going to trust him to find who I need and
Yeah.
what I need. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He knows me better.
Mm-hmm.
Who else knows me? Who else
Right.
knows what I, need and want? And so that union took place. We met, and again, it wasn't, and again, my plan, I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to marry a pastor because I'm full in church now.
Oh,
I
that
thought I
was
was
your
gonna
plan
marry a
to marry a
bishop.
pastor?
It was my plan to marry somebody in the church because
Oh.
mind you, I'm like, okay, I've been on a celibacy journey. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm church girl, boom, 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 And it was so funny. I'm like, okay, I'm a good girl. I'm gonna do this, that, another. But
Mm-hmm.
again, that was my plan. And so
Mm.
here I go again, trying to tell God what
Yeah.
I need him to do for me. You know what I'm saying? Versus
Yeah.
trusting him. He's like, man, here you go with that list again. Boom, wipe it out.
Wipe it
Here
out.
you go. You know? And so when I met Handsome Honey, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. But for me, I still struggle with that because I was looking at,
Yeah.
I was thinking, worried about people. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I was
That's what I was
worried
going to
about
ask you
people.
because since he was like the total opposite of what you were looking for, how did
Yeah,
you how were you able to get past that and fall in love with
yeah. So my elders, plain and
him?
simple. When my mom, my grandmother who is now deceased, my mom who is now deceased,
Mm.
my aunt who is now deceased, and my great aunt who's still living, she's 92
Mhm.
now. All of those women, and plus a few of my uncles,
Mm. Mhm.
they said that's him. And
Wow.
I'm like, y'all sure? I'm like, and I even told, I said, Auntie, he's not in church like that. She said, that's who you need.
Mm.
My first husband, oh my gosh, they did not like him. They only tolerated him because, it's like, okay, well,
Mhm.
Sean likes him and loves him and all this kind of,
Mhm.
and it was always something wrong. It was always a battle, right?
Mhm.
That's not healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
But when Chef came along, oh my gosh,
Wow.
my grandmother, them, like when, I would talk to them, and they were praying, they prayed, and it was, and again, it wasn't it was a no-brainer. It wasn't a, well, we're gonna, they prayed, and that was it. And they told, and when my mom was like, that's him, you're
Mhm.
gonna be fine. And then my aunt said, my great aunt, and she said, you're going, he got you. And that's
Mm.
it. That was like, it was
Wow.
a, it wasn't a like, we sitting around, are you sure? It was, and then my other aunt, who my mom's baby sister,
Mhm.
who recently passed,
Mhm.
she walked me through and she understood. She said, I know it's a, I know you're scared. She said, but God got you and he's the one. So when you have these women all on one accord, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
And they're telling you the same thing.
Mhm.
I had to listen and trust this time
Wow.
because
Wow.
I knew, because I asked God, I was like, listen, God, I want to love again. I want to, do this thing again. And so I had to really listen to those elders and ancestors now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did they tell you? Was it one thing? Was it one thing that they saw that made them say, "Yeah, he's it. That's it. That's what you
You
need."
know what? I don't know. They never revealed it to me. If they
Mm.
did, they didn't do. They just said that I had to trust him, but
Mm.
trust God to
Wow.
trust him.
Wow.
So the common denominator between all of them was trust God to
Mm.
trust him,
Mm.
and this is who you need. And I was like, but, and they were like, no. And it was funny
Yeah.
because the conversation, I remember my grandmother, she was we were FaceTiming and she would just be like googly eyes over him. And I'd be
Wow.
like, my dear, are you flirting with she's like, that's my grandson. And he handsome too.
Oh wow.
And so it was just the little things. Like I said, my this is funny because when you go to my aunt's house, my great aunt's house, right, she
Mhm.
has all of our pictures, everybody's pictures, right?
Mhm.
And so she has a picture of me. It was a really cute picture that she liked,
Mhm.
and it was with my ex-husband. Tell me why she got it cut out. She cut him out and still got my picture. That's how you knew. Like
Wow.
she
Wow.
she never talked down about it.
Mhm.
That was her way. She was like, "Oh, I'm so glad he gone. We did not like."
Mm.
You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Yeah.
Amazing. Let's talk
Yeah.
about your mother, and
Yeah.
she had passed a couple of weeks before you walked, before the wedding, or after?
After.
After,
Yeah.
sorry, after.
Yeah.
So a couple of
Yeah.
weeks after you walked, she had
Yeah.
passed. Um,
Yeah.
wow. So how was that? How was that? Like, you just got
Oh,
married. Your mother adored your new husband. Your family adored, and she passed. And
yeah.
this is something that y'all had to deal with. Talk about that experience.
Yeah. Listen, you never see things like that,
Mm-hmm.
unless they were sick and they were on their deathbed
Mm-hmm.
uh, but this was so unexpected. And so, after we come back from the honeymoon,
Mm-hmm.
we had made plans to because we were gonna surprise both our parents with a cruise for our 1 year anniversary. Like, okay, we're gonna do a 1 year anniversary party,
Mm-hmm.
cruise, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, okay, wow. So in
Wow.
that whole scenario, like it was wow because I was happy
Mm-hmm.
dating him, right? We were cool. But after now I'm depressed because I don't know if I'm supposed to mourn or if I'm supposed to be happy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So here I am battling two emotions, two like
Wow.
totally opposite. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I went into a deep depression. I
Wow.
was functioning, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew I had to go to work. I knew
Yeah.
I had to teach. So I was functioning, but it was also affecting our marriage because
Mm.
he has both of his parents. So he didn't know how to deal with this, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting to a point where I was like, listen, if you want to pull out, if you want to leave, you can because I don't know who I am. So at
Mm.
that point, I lost who I was. I didn't know.
Wow.
You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? I didn't know how to function. My mind was all over the place. Here I am. I'm like, okay, I know I got to keep teaching.
Mm-hmm.
you know, so now I'm at work. I can't function. Now I'm coming home. I'm depressed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be a new wife. I'm depressed. Like all of this. And then like I'm trying to run the business. I'm depressed. So I was spiraling, but you wouldn't know it though. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because I
Mm-hmm.
kept the game face. But inside, oh my gosh, I was torn to pieces. I was
Mm.
torn to pieces because not only was I trying to keep my immediate family with me and my husband,
Yeah.
but I was also trying to keep my siblings
Mm.
intact. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because it
Yeah,
was
because you're the
really
oldest.
hard
Right.
on the family. So here I am, like, okay, I don't know what to do. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But being the oldest, it's like, okay, I gotta keep the family together. I gotta,
Hmm.
it was just, it was a lot. It was a
So it
lot.
was difficult for you to be a wife.
It was difficult for me being a wife, being like literally,
Everything.
it was difficult. Yeah, it was, and it affected us. I'm transparent with it. It
Hmm.
affected our marriage.
Hmm.
We are like literally just bouncing back because
Mm.
because again, depression doesn't go away overnight. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like it doesn't go away in a year because now I gotta go to therapy and now I
Yeah.
gotta, figure this thing out.
Hmm.
So now my life has changed. And you become a different person.
Mm.
You become a different person.
Wow. So your whole
Things
world was rocked when she
oh
passed, pretty much, and
yeah,
you
man,
you
listen.
really didn't
It
know. You thought you knew who you were until that happened.
I thought, yeah.
Wow.
So when now that I had just come out of this, because remember the 8 years,
Hmm.
I was learning. I had learned myself again,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
I was cool. I was like, okay, I know me.
Hmm.
Then boom, here this go again, and now I gotta learn myself over again.
Yeah.
you know?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Talk about how important Big Chef
yeah,
was and instrumental in pretty much you getting back to you, and how patient
yeah,
and all of the things that he's done. Talk about how instrumental he was, to lead you back to you.
yeah. You know what? I don't give him enough credit, and
Hmm.
I'm learning to give him the credit because again, he had a choice. He could have been like, you know what, yo,
Yeah.
I can't do this. Peace out.
Yeah.
You
And
know
you
what I'm
gave him
saying?
that choice too. It's crazy. He didn't even take it. He said, nah.
Yeah, and right. I really
Yeah.
because I felt like a burden, and I didn't
Hmm.
want to. I didn't want to do that on a person, right?
Hmm.
And so he was very instrumental in reeling me back. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like being patient, even though he's not a patient person, but I tell
Hmm.
him I'm like, you that is patience,
Hmm.
you know. Was it easy? No, it was not easy because again, we had to learn how to communicate. We had to learn how to
Hmm.
because I became a different person. And he
Hmm.
would tell me, he was like, you're not the same person that I met.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
and I would have to tell her, I'm not that person anymore. I don't I even had to share with I don't know who I am. You know,
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't know who I am. So for me to open up like that, it was very hard as
Mm.
well. Because now for the first time in my life, I had to admit I don't know who I am. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying?
Wow.
And to this man that I'm just marrying and to now show that side of I don't know, I don't have it all together anymore.
Wow.
So he was very I tell him once, I'm like, dude, you were patient. I thank you,
No doubt.
because you could have been like, ooh,
Hmm.
okay, let me
Yeah.
let me go back.
This is why I say it's important, to have your person. I mean, we can't do this
Yeah,
alone. Because you imagine if you were alone, when that happened. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
could you imagine if you was
yeah,
just, who would have known? But you had somebody to have been patient with you, and to
yeah,
rely on, and we can't do this alone, y'all. I mean, that's the
yeah.
prime
You
example
can't.
right there.
Yeah,
That just really life is very, very difficult alone. I mean,
yeah.
as much as y'all say that y'all don't need this and don't need that, that's crazy to say, but that's a whole nother show. You
A
know.
whole nother show. And even if you're a single person with not in a relationship,
Hmm.
being alone and make amends with your family,
No
somebody in
doubt.
your family that you or a
No
close
doubt.
friend,
No doubt.
because like we can't do this alone. God didn't
Hmm.
make us to do this alone.
Hmm.
Yes, we come into this world alone and we're gonna die and by ourselves or whatnot. But
Yeah.
while we're here on earth,
That's right.
He created us to
That's right.
be together.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And you have to. When people say, "Oh, I don't need nobody," this it breaks my heart because I'm
Hmm.
like, we do need somebody.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, after a while now,
Yeah,
you get your certification to become a relationship coach, right?
yeah,
What made you say, you know what? Let me get certified because this is I'm about to make a whole business out of this.
Yeah. So it was two. So I've always had a business, right?
Mhm.
I was an event planner. My
Mhm.
first, like, I was doing events, and I got tired of dealing with the same type of clientele. Ain't nobody want to pay, but you want me to do
Mhm.
these parties. I'm
Mhm.
like,
Right.
fuck it. So I remember sitting out right before I met Chef that year or two,
Mhm.
sitting business out and just really like, okay, this is not it anymore. I'm feeling I'm feeling like I'm supposed to go into a new direction.
Mhm.
So I opted for a name change, just to Trinette L. Collier LLC.
Mhm.
And and this is when I started exploring. Like I took a personality test
Okay.
and a career assessment, right? And it was the same. It was the same type of test or the
Mhm.
same results that I took as a teacher, and it was all helping, right?
Mm.
It's counseling, therapy, and all of that. I knew I wasn't trying to go back to school because of school student loans, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's one reason
Oh.
why I didn't go back to
Yeah.
get my doctorate in psychology or
Yeah.
anything. I was like, I'm not trying to do that.
Mhm.
And so the other options were like life coaching. And I was like, okay. And I researched some more. And, at that time, it's like, oh, you can become a life coach you don't have to have experience. But then I'm reading more into it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, I want to be relevant. I want
Mhm.
to be, you know,
Mhm.
I want to be that person that has the credentials and really want people to understand this is what I want to do and this is how serious I am. So I enrolled in one of the top academies,
Mhm.
Academy of Career Coaching,
Mhm.
Creative Coaching, and it was one of the top academies for coaches, and I paid money for that.
No doubt.
And no shots, no shade,
All shots, all
no
shade.
shade. I'm just saying, I'm not
uh,
that $49.99
yeah, no doubt.
coach.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. Let's
You know what I'm
and
saying?
let's
And
be very very clear on that, y'all. Let's
yeah,
let that seep in. All right.
yeah. Because
This
I wanted to invest, you
that's
know what I'm
right.
saying? Because again, you're talking about supporting people
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're trusting you.
Mhm.
I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, but I'm here to, support you in whatever you need to do.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to make that, like you said, very clear that
Yeah.
I'm not out here playing in these,
Right.
pretend streets.
Right.
I'm constantly researching.
Right.
I've been through the processes.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
wrote, some material. I understand scenarios and situations or whatnot. I ain't just out here trying to get your dollars or get
Mhm.
clients. Or that's not me. So
Mhm.
when I tell people when I put certified, I know people are like, why should I always say? Because I'm like, I want people to understand. Ain't your $49 certification?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
It was a year's course. you
Oh, a
know.
year? Wow.
Oh yeah, it was like, because I did it part-time as well,
Oh, okay.
because they have cohorts, but for me it was like that 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And then I have a mentor. So like I had a mentor coach as well to
Oh.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it was
like
real, real. I'll be hearing stuff about getting your coach certificate like in 4 weeks or something like that, and 3 weeks. But yeah, nah, yours.
listen,
let me.
I ain't saying it can't be done, but according to ICF,
Oh
I'm
my
just saying
goodness.
you can do a
Okay,
4-week course.
you can do.
I'm just saying.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, dope. That is what's up. So let's talk about your show now.
Yeah,
The Mail Room, MALE,
yeah.
messages from him with Deshaun and friends. The vision, the mission. What is the mission behind the mission statement behind your brand, the Mail Room? That show,
Listen, the mission, the vision
the
is to
vision. Yeah.
bridge the gap, the communication gap between Black men and Black women.
Mm-hmm.
That is the number one thing because over time I've witnessed us lose the art of communication
Mm.
and the whole gender war thing. Like
Yeah.
I it,
It's
it
crazy out here.
It is,
It's crazy.
and I'm listening, I'm learning, and the older you get, you're just like, yo, relationships should not be this difficult. You
Mm.
know, it should not be this hard. It
Yeah.
should not be deadly. It
Yeah.
should not
Yeah.
be, you know,
Yeah.
heartbreak. And I'm just thinking, okay, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in our community. So the mail room um is that safe space for our black men to
Mm-hmm.
come and say, because what happened is I saw over time, us women, we have all these platforms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We can call our girlfriends, we can get together,
Yeah.
we can chop it up, we can call in,
Yep.
we can get on YouTube. It's a lot of resources out there for women, but I
Mm-hmm.
was finding over time, I'm like, there's nothing for the guys. It's
Yeah.
nothing for y'all,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
black men.
Mm-hmm.
And and so that's when God downloaded in my spirit to do it, because I got pushback from the women
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
I
I can
got pushback
imagine. Yeah. I
now. I
bet.
got some pushback. So, I got pushback for allowing y'all to talk
Mm-hmm.
and to voice your opinions now.
Wow.
But
I know,
again,
I appreciate you creating that for us men, because you've created
yeah,
a safe space for us. Like you said, you don't have many
yeah,
outlets. You know what I mean? And what I
yeah,
like today, what I'm admiring today, is that there
yeah,
are more and more men that are talking about things. You know what I mean? As before, where it
yeah,
wasn't. It was difficult for us to really speak, but now
yeah,
we're more vocal. We're more, we're feeling more, and we
yeah,
understanding emotions and wanting to talk about it,
yeah,
and that is super dope. And I'm glad that you created your brand for us to create that safe
yeah,
space for us. And I think that's
yeah.
very, very important. And I just want to shout you out. I always big you up for that. I always thank you,
Thank you.
for
Thank
creating that. You know what I mean? And another event, the listening party that you
you. Yeah,
created. You know what I mean? For men to
yeah.
talk and discuss about some things, and the vision. Talk about the listening
Yeah.
party and what it is and why it even exists.
So again, the vision is for, so just to allow you all to have a safe space, just
Mm-hmm.
to have that expression, to say what you need to say, to express like, yo, we want good thriving relationships too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We don't want the trauma and drama. And so the listening party, again, was birthed through everything that I do. Is it always is it comes out of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't just be like, oh, I'm going to do this. It has a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
have so many ideas, but if God is like, no, that's not going to be purposeful, then no, you can't do it. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
pass it on or whatnot.
Right.
So the listening party is that event, a culminating event of the years in September, and that's for a
Mm-hmm.
reason. Um, it's where I gather men on a panel,
Mm-hmm.
and the audience, which really consists of a lot of women,
Mm-hmm.
we sit back and we listen to you all speak on different topics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's in person. This past year was online Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and which was still awesome. But it gives you all a chance to speak without
Mm-hmm.
being interrupted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
So we can't be like, "Child, it wasn't it this that and that."
Yeah.
Like it, So it's really funny because when the term listening part, you automatically think about music,
Album.
releasing
Music.
the album,
Yep. Yep.
right? And
Yep.
people are like, I didn't know you can sing. I'm like, I can't. Oh, you rapping? I'm not doing any of
When you break
that.
it
And
down, what's the response? Like, how does what is the response when you break it down? Like, oh, like what is the response of, especially if you
they
tell a
do
woman?
just be like, oh, okay. And then some people be like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me get a ticket. And other people
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. You know,
Yeah. Whatever.
yeah. It's again that whole listening
Yeah.
accountability. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
it gives, and I've even had I had some people be like, well, can't no man tell me,
Mm.
listen,
Mm.
this is not your audience. This is
Yeah.
not the event for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I had to learn how to again stand grounded in
Mm-hmm.
what God gave me, because
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm not doing this for the lights and the loves and all of this. I'm literally doing this with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I'm not doing it for the popularity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. It's not that I don't care what you think, but in a sense, I don't care what you think because
No
I got
doubt.
to do what I'm supposed to do.
No
You
doubt.
know, and
Yeah.
this is again, it's bridging that gap, that
Yeah.
communication. And if you're gonna say things like, "Well, he can't tell me," but then you're asking God for a man, you're asking God for a
Mm-hmm.
husband, but
Right.
they can't tell you. Make it make sense,
Make it make
sis.
sense. Oh my
You
goodness.
know?
That,
So
that's a
hey,
whole nother show.
that's a whole nother show. Woo. Let's
you
talk
looking,
about it on the mail room.
you're looking for a traditional husband, but you can't be told what to do. I hear that. I hear
Woo,
that.
woo, child.
Oh my goodness! All right, so
Yeah,
that's amazing. So
yeah,
this is the third year. We're going on the fourth year of the listening
yeah,
party, right?
yeah, yeah.
And you plan to have this on location at a venue, which I cannot wait. It's in
Yes,
September, y'all. Y'all make sure once you put it up, go ahead and
yeah,
support, get those tickets because it is super dope. You learn something, you know what I mean? I mean, you're gonna learn
yeah,
something. And the
yeah,
men on the, I've been on 3 years in a row, y'all. So just it was so super dope. I enjoy myself every single time.
yeah,
And these we're not we're these are established men, everyday men that they work, they got families, some singles,
yeah.
some married, some divorced, some it's all walks of life. When it's not just any old body, you know what I mean? We
Right, right.
there's some distinguished gentlemen up there that's giving
Yeah,
sound advice and really being open to these
yeah,
questions. So when you go and you get your ticket, you're definitely going to learn something. You're going to make some new friends, and you're going to learn
yeah.
something. You know what I mean? So
Right.
if you're a woman that's really transitioning out of like I don't need no dude type thing. If
Yeah,
you trying to get out of that mindset, the listening party is for you. All right,
right,
let's be very clear on that. You know what I'm saying?
right, right.
Even listening to the mailroom every Saturdays from 10 to 1. You know what I mean? That right there is
Right.
for you as well. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so right, real quick, I want to talk about your coaching and um, what have you found? What is the one thing? Is there one thing that you found um, interesting or disturbing or great from your coaching?
Good question. The one thing that I found out this year,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been battling, struggling with the coaching, because I'm like, okay, maybe I don't, you're trying to find your niche.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I build healthy relationships starting with self. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, self-love. Okay, I could do that because I've been through the process and whatnot, wrote, created a journal for it. And then I was challenged more
Mm-hmm.
and more, talk about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I was still kind of afraid because I'm like, okay, I've been divorced. I'm still learning this relationship, it's only 6 years in, and we've been going through some things or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt kind of like
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm not experienced enough or whatnot. And what I found disturbing was the whole accountability
Mm-hmm.
piece that a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the female clients
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to
Be told what to do.
acknowledge. Yeah. And so when I approached, because at one time I was just like, okay, I'm just coaching women.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just coach women. And then through the mailroom, it became a battle with me, because one hand I'm trying to coach women, and
Mm-hmm.
then on the mailroom I'm talking to the men, and I'm just like, it's too much. It became overwhelming. So I'm merging the two. I'm actually rebranding and merging the two. And I'm like, I'm okay now with not just coaching the women,
Mm-hmm.
because it became a battle,
Right.
and it should not be. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm working towards, I'm coaching men as well, but the women will I'm coaching the men, but the women will come as well,
Okay.
because it's that accountability
Mm-hmm.
that that us women are just not open to
Mm.
right now, and it
Mm.
was disturbing. It was like it
Right.
became too much. And I'm like, I'm not about to
Yeah.
it
Stress
I
out,
can't yeah, it was starting to stress me out,
huh? Yeah.
because I literally was finding myself, they wanted me to tell them what they wanted to hear, and I'm like, but no,
Mm-hmm.
no,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get a man if you're going to constantly talk down to a man, or
Mm.
constantly talk about a man to
Mm-hmm.
your friend, and then you're asking God to send you a man. It's not going to work, and they
Yeah.
didn't want to hear that.
Mm. Mm.
No matter how loving, how sweet I would put it,
Mm-hmm.
how gentle, did not want to hear it.
Wow.
And so I was just like, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
Mm.
This ain't gonna work.
Get a
Yeah.
cat. Get a cat.
He gonna be over there rocking by yourself, knitting with them 12 cats,
Oh man. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
you
Okay.
know.
Oh
Hey,
wow.
hey.
Wow. So tell people what you got coming up. What's anything you're working on right now? Anything you got
Yeah,
coming up you want to share? Tell the people.
I'm working on the new year,
Mm-hmm.
building content for the mailroom.
Mm-hmm.
That is my focus. That is one of the brands that I will be. I have the TLC brand. It is TLC coaching. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm coaching both men and women.
Okay.
But the mailroom is my baby.
No doubt.
And it is full-fledged 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Um I'm just going in that direction,
No doubt.
and so new
No doubt.
events will be coming up with that,
No doubt. No doubt.
just revamping a lot of things. I really feel confident now, more
Mm-hmm.
confident than in the past years, because now I understand and I know what I want to do. I'm not afraid of relationships, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what, because I'm like, I have enough experience. I have experience and I'm still growing, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still learning. But I have a lot of experience,
No
I'm
doubt.
50, so I have experience,
Yeah.
and so new things that's coming up. Of course, the listening party in September.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No
some other
doubt.
things that are you know,
No
I
doubt.
want to keep. Well, okay, I do have. I will be a co-contributor. I'm learning to share good
No
news, so
doubt. Oh, come on now.
I'll be a co-contributor on Faraji Muhammad's The Culture on Black Star Network. Starting in January. I'm super hyped and
That's what's
dope
up.
about that. You
Congratulations. That's
know, um,
huge.
thank you. Like, I'm really excited. I will also just got the news that I will be teaching at my new classroom. Will be at actually co-facilitating other coaches. So I will be
What?
teaching coaches. I will actually be doing some coaching. So
What?
yeah, so
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
God is amazing, and it's
Yeah.
like coming full circle. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I posted the other day that I earned my master's in education
Mm-hmm.
for curriculum instruction in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was thinking that I was going to write a curriculum for elementary school and,
Mm-hmm.
for the classroom or whatnot. Didn't know 10, 20 years later
Mm.
that I'll be actually writing for coaching coaches.
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
so I'm just super
Congratulations. That's
blessed.
what's
So
up.
thank you. And it's not
Yes.
about trauma drama, because I'm not specialized in that. So I'm
Right.
actually facilitating,
Mm-hmm.
co-facilitating for other coaches in corporate. So I'm excited about 2024. So y'all look out for that, and
Good.
some other things, some other
Excited
things.
for you. Excited for
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
So, all right. So, real quick, if someone who's struggling to love themselves,
yeah.
what advice you have for them?
Seek assistance, seek support.
Mm.
Um, and recognize that it's okay that you're unable to love yourself, because
Mm-hmm.
there's something there. There may be a barrier, or and I say seek professional support, because that support can help you begin that journey. and just recognize it and just be okay with it. Don't do it. Don't be ashamed of it.
Mm-hmm.
I once did not love myself, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I became where I was, and it's okay because most of us, we go through that period or that era, like you don't love yourself, and for whatever reason, there's no judgment. But I will say seek professional support, such as a self-love coach or relationship coach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you feel like it's more than coaching, I do suggest seeking therapy
Okay.
because that means it's something rooted,
Okay.
that you need that professional, support from.
Okay. Loving
Yeah.
yourself. What does that mean? To love yourself. What does that mean?
Love yourself meaning you're going to put systems in place for yourself. You're going to have your standards. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to have who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to compromise who you are for nothing and no one. If you like the color purple, guess what? You like the color purple, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You love that, and nobody can change your mind about it. Nobody can make you doubt about it. Loving yourself just means that, hey, I love who God created.
Mm-hmm.
If my hair is curly and I don't want to wear it straight, that's me. I love me enough to say, listen, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't like me, I'm sorry. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not about, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's what loving yourself is.
Okay.
You're actually showing you're kind to yourself, basic bottom line, you're kind to yourself. You
Mm.
know, we find
Mm.
oftentimes we're kind to everybody else except for ourselves. And this is where you get worn out, you get burnt out, you get frustrated from people,
Mm.
and you forget about yourself. And this is for men and women.
No doubt.
You're not
Uh,
kind to yourself.
one quick question: is it possible, in your opinion, is it possible to know what you want if you don't know who you are?
Ask it again.
Is it possible to know what you want if you don't know who you are?
No. You got to know who you are first to know
Mm-hmm.
what you want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And,
Right. Okay.
like I said before, I didn't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know what I wanted in a guy. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so that's why I end up in the cycle of with the same type of men
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't love myself. You teach people how to love you, but
That's
they
right.
see how you love yourself and they can see it before you. So if I allowed the same type of guy over and over again, that means I literally had low self esteem. I didn't have any standards. I just accepted. I didn't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
So once
Mm-hmm.
I stopped and I went through that healing process, then it was like, boom, I know what I want. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want that bozo. I don't want that clown. Like
Mm-hmm.
in y'all words, y'all New Yorkers, y'all call folks clowns.
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
nobody can step to me
Yeah.
anymore with that BS. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that
Doubt.
goes for any type of relationship, even your friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Right.
girlfriends ain't going. Prime example, and I'm real quick.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Go ahead.
How when your girlfriend, well, girls call each other itches, the B
Mm-hmm.
word, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ain't no term of endearment for me.
No doubt.
And so I've always set that standard. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
how close we are. None of my girlfriends, I don't have that tribe of women. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to greet each other with the B word. You see what I'm
No
saying?
doubt.
I don't care how innocent you think it is. We're not going to do that.
No
That's
doubt.
because I knew who I was.
No
I'm like,
doubt.
I'm not going to be. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a standard. And that's something because you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know
No
what
doubt.
I'm saying?
No
If you
doubt.
didn't love yourself, you're going to accept these quote unquote terms of endearment.
Mm-hmm. No
Are you
doubt.
for real? You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
hear you. I hear you.
we gonna
I hear
we
you.
gonna treat that, and then we get mad if a man calls us that.
Oh man.
Nah,
Oh
make it make
man.
sense. Yeah.
Real quick, I want to read off some of these comments. We got, Keisha said, yeah, with their hands up. Whoop whoop. Melanie Prince, Trinette, you are amazing. Hey y'all.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
oh,
Hey, hey, hey. We thank y'all so much for rocking out with us. Trinette, please let the people know how can they get your services, websites, social media handles, emails. Let it all out right now. How can the people follow you and support you?
Listen, first of all, thank you so much, Johnny. I'm super proud of you,
Thank you
and
so
you know you
much.
always have my support. I
Thank you.
appreciate you. I
Thank you.
love how you've kept it going,
Yeah.
and through the trials and tribulations, and so you're
Yeah.
inspiration to me as well.
Oh man,
Uh,
thank you.
so you can reach me on all social media platforms under Trinette L. Collier. I am Trinette L. Collier. My website is iamtrinettelcollier.com. TikTok, I think it's Tashawn7671. So basically all platforms, just look for Trinette L. Collier. I
Hmm.
am Trinette L. Collier and so forth.
And what's the name of your coaching business?
It is TLC coaching. It is
Okay.
TLC coaching. So,
TLC
and
coaching.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
TLC coaching.
Well, listen, we want to thank you for coming out. Thank you for being on live. And I'm excited for you and everything you got going on coming up. I'm always here for, whatever you need. You know already. I'm your number two biggest fan next to your husband. All right, just be clear on that. You know what I'm saying? Your number two supporter. All right. Oh man.
Yeah,
Once
yeah,
again,
yeah.
Trinette L. Collier Greene. Please make sure y'all go ahead and follow her everywhere. And once again, thank you so much. All right.
Thank you,
Catch you in a
thank you.
minute.
Yes.
Be blessed. Yo, that was a super dope interview. Once again, make sure you go ahead and follow that sister there. Trinette L. Collier everywhere. Just type it in and whatever she got going on, make sure you support. She is super dope. You know what I mean? If you in definitely need of coaching, definitely hit her up. And make sure you go and listen to the show, The Mailroom, Messages from Him with Tashawn and Friends, that airs every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on 101tkoradio.com. Make sure you're there. We're not going to be there these next 2 weeks. We're going back the first Saturday in January. I'm about to say September. Oh my goodness. In January. This whole year went by quick, y'all. Crazy quick. It's crazy. I'm already in September. But listen, make sure y'all follow the podcast everywhere. Be Clear Alert Podcast everywhere except Facebook. And please share. And the next one is coming up. Well, you'll see the posters for that. But just keep it locked. Make sure you hit the alert to get to get notified. And again, Be Clear Alert Podcast. Be Clear Alert Podcast everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, of course. What else? TikTok. Yeah, follow me there as well. All right. I love y'all. Y'all be easy, be good, be safe, and I will see you on the next show. Peace, y'all.